Hello and welcome to another Fresh Off the Stalls. I'm doing it from my home again. I feel I should go out and actually do it straight off the stalls. But tonight's thing was at the Amersham Arms in New Cross and it's a Friday night and there's going to be nowhere quiet and light to do that. So I am forced to do it at home and it's kind of fresh. It's just down the road from me. I live in Brockley, so I'm still very much here. I'm still very much buzzing after the show. So tonight I've been to see Encompass Productions Bare Essentials night. I suppose maybe I should be a bit more bare here. Maybe I should, maybe. No, let's not. I want to keep my viewers. But yes, so this is an evening that showcases new writing, but the kicker is that there's no production budget. So everything, I'm sure there's some budget. I really hope the actors and directors are getting paid, please. So there's no production budget, so everything is just done with whatever they can scrounge together and done on a completely bare space. And it's at the Amersham Arms in the Take Courage Theatre above the actual pub itself. And you can't get any more bare than that. It's just a whitewashed room. It's like sitting in someone's living room who doesn't have much of a decoration taste or enthusiasm, really. But yes, so the whole point of that is, I suppose, if you're going to be your most cynical, I suppose you can say that this is... The gimmick is that there's no gimmick. Oh, how ironic, how New Cross. But what I love about this is Encompass Productions, and I totally agree with them in that you don't need production values to make something fantastic when you've got great writing beneath it. And tonight was a prime example of that. Some of the plays that were presented this evening were fantastic, and the fact it was just done with the one light in the room, not even any lighting, apart from the one sort of light in the room that kind of dimmed, went on, went off. That's it. That's your lot. But yeah, some of it was absolutely and utterly gripping. So I mean, if this ever comes up again, and they'll no doubt be doing it, try not to think like, it's gimmick. The gimmick is no gimmick. Blah 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 blah. Go, because they know what they're doing. They know that this stuff works. They know that theatre at its most essential is always going to be about the writing. Don't get me wrong, direction is very important too, and I think what they don't sell themselves enough on is that, as well as this is a place to sort of showcase new writing, I think it really is a place to showcase some directing talent as well, because when you've got minimal things to work with, I think that's actually quite a challenge for directors. Not that I know, I don't direct, but for me as a critic, I think it is challenging. And also, actors act whatever they do. Yeah. That's not to say any of these guys weren't good tonight. There was some excellent acting. Anyway, the other reason I thought, I'm going to have to do this at home, so what can I do? Let's do a countdown, because giving stars is already arbitrary enough, so let's make it even more arbitrary. So I printed some stuff out. I'm going to put on some crazy music in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't care if you can hear it or not. Let's get on with it. So I'm going to rank down the six plays I saw this evening to what I thought of them. So coming in at number 6, which I like less than this music, unfortunately. So number 6 for me was, get out of the way, the first show of the evening. So it was Poison by Rebecca Robinson, directed by Jonathan Woodhouse, and performed by Freya Parsons. What I didn't like about this is, so the whole premise of this is this kind of really boring, really unlikable office worker. And that's kind of what it felt like for a whole 20 minutes. Sitting and listening to someone you don't like, you couldn't care about, going on about stuff you really couldn't care about. So, hang on. To the point that when it does start to get into the sort of really sort of heavy things in the theme, the tragedy that's in the piece, you don't care. And it's a shame. You just don't care. You just kind of you don't empathise, you don't feel any remorse for what's going on. I suppose what makes it worse is the fact that Freya Parsons is really good. You really kind of think that she's just this really unlikable person, and she performs the piece really well. So hats off to her for making me like it less. That's quite a backhanded compliment. But no, don't think this is the strongest writing. Just bored me. On to number 5. On to number 5. I've got number 5 in here. It's like, oh, there it goes. There it goes. My number 5. There it is. Number 5. I think the next one, and I promise I'm not, this isn't ranked to how it goes of an evening, but number 5 for me was the second piece. Rebecca, colon, female soldier. Not a colon female soldier, because that sounds medical, and I'm just going to get on with it. So that was written by Nicola O'Connor, directed by Alice Kornitzer, and performed by Nuala Lawson. Now, this is a piece that was really interesting. It was taking a female soldier who'd been out in Afghanistan, but the solo piece was all about focusing on things that weren't the time out in Afghanistan. I love it as a red herring, and I love the time that Nicola O'Connor has spent sort of trying to explore the sort of psyche, bringing class into it as well. Like sort of, so Rebecca, the female soldier, ends up reminiscing a lot about her time living on the estate before going out to war. The thing that I think lets this down the most is that you do not feel like it's the characters' words. Now, that's not at all to say that people from a certain background, such as the characters, can't be eloquent, but you get throughout the thing. I felt like this is the writer speaking, not the character. Which is a shame, because Nicola O'Connor's writing is actually very fluid. It's actually very intelligent. I really, as I said, I love the red herring. I love the sort of themes that are being explored. I loved the language, but it didn't work. You felt there was a huge sort of disconnect between character and writing, and that was a shame, especially with. I honestly thought that music was going to go on longer. Anyway, especially with Nuala Lawson behind it, who really performed it well, and she was excellent. She really managed to sort of she managed to engage the audience the entire way through, and it was little things like making eye contact and talking to certain members of the audience. You actually felt like she was speaking to you rather than just performing. So really, hats off to Nuala Lawson. As I said, it's just a shame that I felt the words that the character was saying was the writers and not the characters. On to hashtag 4. Hooray. 4. No, it's going to be The Art of Tea, which is the third thing of the evening. I swear, I tell you, I'm not going through this chronologically. There will be some switching around of what's happening. The Art of Tea by Daniel Damiano. So I really like this piece. Just because it's come forth does not mean it's good. Not good. I mean, just because it comes forth doesn't mean it's not good. It's actually a really nice piece. I love the nuance that Damiano has written to it, and I love the nuance that director Rachel Owens has also put in it as well. It's called The Art of Tea. There is tea involved, and Damiano being a New York playwright, I love his sort of take on Britishness and etiquette and everything that's very tea and twee. You've got two characters in tea, and it's under the most sort of bizarre and sort of rocky premises. I'm just gonna go flat. Meh. Technology. Anyway, where were we? Yes, number 4, The Art of Tea by Daniel Damiano. Yeah, I loved the little nuances, which I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted. Everything from the sort of little bits of tea etiquette, like not licking the spoon before putting it back into the sugar, and sort of that sort of strange sort of British sort of properness coming through. But what I love, and yeah, that was really enhanced by Rachel Owens and wonderfully acted by Carly Hayes and Laurie Harrington. What I loved most about it, though, was the writing, in that Damiano has really created something where you don't know where it's going next, and you're kind of like, oh, do you know where it's going next? Do I? And it's really quite fun to go along with. So that was a lovely little piece. On to number 3. Number 3, not the 4th thing in the evening. Number 3 is the 5th thing in the evening for me. So, Love and Freefall. I really love this piece. Interesting though, I don't think it's as well written as the piece by Daniel Damiano. So, Love and Freefall is written by Simon Jackson, directed by Liam Fleming, and starring Alexander Pankhurst, Owen Collins, and Robert Wallace. Now, why I think this one is slightly better, in my opinion, than the Art of Tea was not so much the writing. The writing is a lot of fun. It's putting in a sort of really sort of dramatic scenario and sort of really in a really odd situation. So free falling through the sky. And oh no, scandal of infidelities and stuff. It really brings out this sort of the piece brings out the humour in putting something that's this dramatic sort of plot thing into a really odd situation. But what I love about this piece is actually the direction. Liam Fleming has found a way to really bring in extra humour through the physicality and how the actors represent themselves free falling through the air, which really just enhanced the piece in itself. He really finds little jokes in the aesthetic and in the movement, which I think was marvellous. And so that comes in number 3, not because of the writing, but because of the direction, which is why I said earlier that I think they undersell themselves as just being a place for being with no production writers bringing no production values bringing out the strength in the writing, but I think the no production values really brings out strengths in the direction as well. Coming in at cashier number 2, please, is End Up Like Julie by Elan Washman, directed again by Jonathan Woodhouse and starring Zuri Warren, Stephen Mortimer and Marcella Corelli. This was the most boldest, original and daring of pieces. I really loved it. This sort of existential, absurdist piece was wonderful. Just these two guys in the gym sort of debating what is life through the sort of imagery of what they do in the gym, whilst at the same time whilst there's this girl dead/dying just on the equipment. Utterly bizarre, really quite dark, and really a lot of fun. It kind of, I know I said absurdist, it has elements of absurdism in it, but I wouldn't say it was absurdist. In fact, it's not completely bonkers, but it's bonkers enough. Absolutely loved it. Gotta hand it to Zuri Warren, who was playing Champ in the piece. Like, he really gave it his all. I mean, I know it was warm that room, but like, he was sweating by the end of it, and just loved his interaction with both Stephen Mortimer and Marcella Corelli. So yeah, loved that. I think Elan Washman really is someone to watch, because it was certainly the most original piece of the evening, and I really enjoyed it for that. And crowning glory, numero uno tonight was Sniper by John Foster. This was an utterly amazing piece. It's directed by Michela Francis Neal and starring Jordan Kwame, Zara Malik and Matthew Lee. So what John Foster has done here is really explored the sort of in the sort of, it's a what's the sort of really wanky phrase I came up with whilst I was watching? Oh, that's it. It's a dire circus about the sensationalism of criminal psychology. And it kind of, that doesn't really say much apart from probably what kind of person I am, but I loved it. The use of language and the use of meter, very much along the lines of Mamet, very much along the lines of Pinter, so very sort of stinted rhythms, and and some really beautiful poetry coming in. This also has, I think, the strongest performer of the entire evening. Jordan Kwame was fantastic as James, the central character, who as the murderer, kind of really sort of wonderful, sort of nonchalance, playful, and really dark. You kind of get, he's not like grrr, scary, but kind of like very sort of quietly disturbing and twisted scary, and I love that. Also think Zara Malik and Matthew Lee were excellent, as well as the sort of I don't know, they were kind of embodies not so much characters but several aspects of things influencing the main character sort of thing, and they handled it really well. Loved Michela Francis Neal direction. I loved the sort of oscillating, the use to get the oscillating sort of closeness and distance between the performers on stage, that really enhanced the sort of sense of the power shift as the piece goes on. But absolutely gripping. A really amazing piece by John Foster, and it's, no surprise that he's already worked on things like Z Cars, The Bill, and BAFTA award winning stuff as well. Amazing thing. And I think as well, this is where the performances came into their own, and this is another example of direction really coming to its own here as well. So amazing night. It did start off, the first few things weren't great, although even the pieces weren't great. You could see straight off the bat that everything that Encompass Productions are doing here in the Beer Essentials is actually really there. It's a really great look at theatre, and it's a really great way at exploring and bringing new writing to the fore. Only other thing, a lot of ginger actors this evening. Is that usual? I don't know. Well, all the best to them. There's nothing wrong with being ginger. Just surprised to find a lot of them in one place. Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me. I shall get up with my full written review and probably put my thoughts into something a bit more coherent and a bit less interrupted by bloody technology. Okie doke, I shall see you soon. Goodbye! Gingers.